They say some people are born to shine, but let me tell you, a lot of us come up from the shadows. That was me, Isabel Moore. I never thought my voice would echo beyond the clatter of dishes in a sleepy Oregon cafe, let alone hush a room of polished strangers who never knew what it meant to miss a meal or hold the world together for a little brother. But, you know what I mean? Life can twist you up and then spin you right into the light if you just keep walking, even on tired feet. Most folks around Atoria never gave me a second look. Mondays started the same as always, the jingle of the Rosewood Cafe bell ringing over the smell of burnt coffee and rain-soaked newspapers. My hair was usually tied back, my apron always a little wrinkled, and my hands, well, they were more familiar with soap suds and applause. After Mama passed 3 years ago, heart just gave out. I became both mother and sister to a kid who still dreams too loud at night. Dad had disappeared into the chords of his old guitar before I even learned to ride a bike. Since then, it's been me and my brother scraping by, our dreams pressed flat between grocery receipts and overdue bills. Now, I used to sing in church, little talent shows, places where applause comes easy. Mama would cry sometimes when I sang Amazing Grace, but when she got sick, I put those songs away. Dreams, I learned, could wait. Rent, groceries, school supplies, those couldn't. I worked the counter at Rosewood and counted tips, not melodies. It wasn't until Rachel, my best friend since forever, dragged me to the Atoria Bay Hotel Gala that anything changed. She had this way of smiling that meant you couldn't say no, and before I knew it, I was squeezing my feet in her borrowed shoes, standing in a ballroom so bright it felt like daylight trapped in a chandelier. Everyone there wore names like armor, business cards flashing between laughs, but me? I just clung to a glass of water and the hope I wouldn't trip on the carpet. Then the night spun like fate had gotten bored and wanted a show. The singer canceled. The MC started to sweat. Some guy, tipsy enough to think he was funny, called for a volunteer. Suddenly, people were pointing at meth waitress, the nobody saying, "Let her sing, what's the harm?" You ever have a room full of people look right through you until they need something to laugh at? Yeah, that happened. Rachel started to step in, bless her, but I stopped her with a smile. Maybe I was tired of hiding, or maybe I just wanted to see if the voice I'd locked away still remembered me. So I stood up, heart thumping, hands a little shaky, and walked onto the stage. The MC tried to act casual, but I saw her eyes she expected nothing. Just another punchline for the night. But as I stood there, I closed my eyes and let everything else go. All the years, all the pain, every lullaby I'd ever sung to my brother just poured out. I heard there was a secret chord. I didn't need music or fancy lights. It was just me, stripped of everything but my voice and a lifetime of quiet longing. The room went still, a hush so thick you could taste it. Even the ones who'd laughed before stared, their smiles slipping away. For once, I wasn't invisible. I was undeniable. When the last note faded, there was a heartbeat of silence. Then applause soft at first, then rising until people stood, clapping like they wanted to hold onto something pure. Rachel was crying. I didn't know what to do except bow my head and hope my knees didn't buckle. That's when Margot Levinson found me. Silver hair, velvet dress, eyes that saw everything. She introduced herself as director of community music programs at the Seattle Philharmonic and asked me to join a summer project for folk voices. "No, Odishin. You're enough," she said. "Me enough." Let that sink in. Rachel nearly tackled me when I told her. I was scared, not gonna lie. I didn't know theory, couldn't read music, barely knew how to take a compliment. But sometimes, all you need is for one person to believe you belong, and the rest comes after. Seattle was a world of part glass towers, water sparkling, people speaking in words I'd never heard in Atoria. My classmates came from Juilliard, from big cities, all perfect posture and trained vibrato. I felt like a country sparrow in a cage full of nightingales. The first few classes, I just listened. Margot told me, "Don't let what you haven't learned overshadow what you already have." I held on to that, even when it felt like I was sinking. When it came time for our first performance, I chose Wayfaring Stranger. Just me, no backup, no tricks. It's what Mama used to hum after double shifts. I didn't sing to impress, just to remember. And for a moment, the room listened. Margot put her hand over her heart and said, she didn't come to perform. She came to remind us why music ever mattered. You know, sometimes you just need to be reminded why you started it all. The closing night came fast Strainer Hall, golden lights, air so thick with perfume, and nerves that almost choked you. My dress was nothing special, just an old gown stitched up by a friend. I sang while Mountain Time, Mama's song, soft and true. The applause that followed wasn't the kind that echoes off marble, but the kind that soaks into your bones. It was respect. That's all I ever wanted. After the show, Thomas Avery, big producer from American Soul, found me backstage and offered a spot on national TV. I didn't even know what to say. Rachel told me, bring your heart, not just your voice. They've got plenty of singers, but not enough who can make a whole room fall silent. She was right. New York was dizzying cameras, lights, people moving like they had somewhere more important to be. I almost turned around and flew home. But I kept thinking of Mama, her soft voice, the way she'd squeeze my hand when she was tired. I sang, You Are My Sunshine at my audition because sometimes you gotta go back to your roots when you're lost in the clouds. The judges didn't even ask for a second song. They just said, we've heard all we need. The first episode aired, and suddenly everyone was calling me the voice that feels like home. Headlines, articles, people crying on social media. They compared me to legends, called me the soul of America reborn. But all I ever wanted was to call my brother and say, I sang with everything I had. At the finals, I sang while Mountain Time, again not for the cameras, but for Mama. The whole country went silent. And when I finished, I knew I'd finally given something back to the world that it couldn't buy, borrow, or fake. Afterwards, I turned down record deals and big contracts. I went back to Atoria and opened a little singing class at the church where I first found my voice. On the sign, it says, sometimes it's not the loudest voice that makes us listen, but the truest heart. That's the only lesson I ever needed. So, that's my story from a cafe nobody to the voice that made a room full of strangers believe again. Maybe it's not about where you come from or what you know, but what you dare to bring into the light. If you've ever felt small, overlooked, or like your dreams were meant for someone else maybe, this is your sign to let your heart be heard. Now, I want to hear from you. Is it right to walk away from the spotlight? Or should I have chased the big stage? What does justice look like when it comes to art, and who gets to be seen? Drop your thoughts below. Right or wrong, your voice matters. And if this story made you feel something, share it with a friend, subscribe, and let's keep reminding the world that the truest voices are often the ones no one saw coming.